Bardstown City Council for September 27th, and I do want to announce that we're going to have an executive session after the meeting for the discussion of public infrastructure records related to information technology exempted from disclosure under KRS 61.8781M. Public records which, if disclosed, have a reasonable likelihood of threatening the public safety by exposing a vulnerability and preventing, protecting against, mitigating, or responding to a terrorist attack. And then the other point of our executive session will be pursuant to KRS 61.8101B, deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency. The publicity would be likely to affect the value of the property. So we'll be adjourning at the end of the meeting to go into executive session on those matters. I know we have some people in the audience tonight because they have an agenda item, so I'm going to take the liberty to move a request for a donation from Bethany Haven up on the agenda, since I know Councilwoman Hart is the sponsor of that request, and we have Bridget Wilson, and you can introduce the others if you would like to. Betty, if you'd like to speak to the donation request, and Bridget, you may also talk to it as well.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm in support of supporting Bethany Haven. Obviously, I think we all are. They have expanded greatly over the last few years and are really making a great effort to address the homelessness issue in our community, and they do great work. So I'll let you take over from me.
Okay. I think I know most of you here, so thank you for having us in again. So we had requested this year $20,000. I know that's more than what we got last year. We so appreciate your generosity in supporting us. But I know that you're familiar with our core programs, the transitional housing, and then also the Room in the Inn program. But this year, beginning in the fiscal year July, we hired 2 new positions that I thought would be extremely interesting to you all, but also moving us forward to really becoming the county model for how you handle rural homelessness. So those 2 positions, one of is a rehousing specialist. We all know that low-income housing is a problem. We're not the only county that have that issue, but one of the things we learned from another county was they have a housing specialist that creates relationships with people who rent to low-income housing. We stand behind the clients because they often don't have good credit. So if Bethany Haven as an organization is standing behind them and continuing the services for them so that we ensure that they're going to be successful once they are in fact placed in a home. So they've seen a great change when you stand behind them long term and develop a relationship with those the people who are renting. It makes them more successful. So we've hired a person to be nothing but a rehousing specialist. We've also hired a person that is a street outreach. So the ones we all hear most about with the homeless are the ones that are downtown, not in our program, but the ones that are in the alleyways, the ones that are on top of the buildings, the ones that are causing some issues. That group of individuals, they choose not to be part of our current existing programs for lots of reasons. The situation with them are often more difficult to deal with. There's a lot of drug addiction, a lot of mental illness, a lot of post-traumatic stress syndrome, and I'm sure the police chief can talk to that as well. We understand as a nonprofit, there's no way that we can have the staff to deal with that. But what we are doing by hiring a street outreach program is to begin to understand who are these people. What is their story? What services do they need? And then try to be the lead to hooking them up with services that may benefit them, and then also working very closely with the police department so that they understand when they come across this person, like, we know who that is. We know their story. It may still be difficult to solve that, but at least it's a step towards identifying who these people are. So I do want to take the liberty to introduce who else is with me. This is Trezor Davidson. She's our executive director, but also this is Kimmy Fry. And so I'm just going to give her just a few minutes to speak to you. She is, in fact, our street outreach program director.
Hi, it's nice to meet everyone. What I've been doing is I've been going to our local businesses, trying to educate them about what we are doing. I've climbed roofs, I've went through creeks, I've done it all in the past couple months, and I have brought people in And whatever, I listen to them because all they want to, they want to be listened to because they feel like they're at rock bottom. So, I'm always telling them, the only where you can go from here is up. So if you can build like a rapport with them, then they let you help them, So that's what I try to do. I try to, if they're, if they have mental illness, whatever, I try to get them into, some kind of program that will help them through that. If they have drug problems, I do that too. I try to get them into something that will help them. Does it always work? No. But I feel like they're starting to trust me more. And plus, they called me the other day, and I went and the little lady, she was confused. So I did get that, solved. Like I had to call and I show them the resources that they don't know about or don't know how to get. I'm horrible with words. I'm so sorry. And I'm nervous. So, but that's what we're doing. And I know it's not like a fast, how do you say that?
Resolution?
Yes. But, bear with me and I'm doing, and if anybody needs help or anything, just give me a call and I will do what I can. So that's all I have to say.
So one last thing I meant to bring up to the group, and thank you, Penny, is that, and again, I know we're asking for $5,000 more, and again, we're grateful for whatever we get in support from you all. But one other thing that has changed with the program, and this is still sort of related to COVID, and I think most of the churches have seen that, we're not getting the volunteer base for our Room in the Inn program the way we did prior to COVID. Before, every 7 nights a week in the wintertime, we had a church covering that. We had volunteers because we have to have a male and a female stay every night. All of that was covered. We had more churches. They shared a particular night. And that has not come back since COVID. So we only run 4 nights during the summertime. We feed them every night. But 4 nights they can stay in the summertime. But beginning towards the latter part of October, we want to run 7 nights a week. Because we feel like when it's cold outside, that's really when they need to have someplace to stay. So if it is a night that we do not have a church and we do not have innkeepers to stay, because we often have to pay innkeepers to stay, some of our staff are ones that can do that. But if we end up with none of those above, then we do work with some of the hotels that are up by the railroad tracks. And they give us a really good rate, and we put them in a hotel for the night if it's freezing. So again, we got COVID money. That helped to cover that. That's not happening now, so that's another expense that will come to us because we're just determined to make it 7 nights a week through the winter months. So if you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you for your time.
Bridget,
Yeah.
I know you all do wonderful work because most of the people here have been involved with
Moving in.
moving in and other things that you can definitely even Harvard House and all the other organizations that we deal with. Of course, this is Bethany Haven is the largest donation that we get out of the community grant fund, and we've had some bigger donations already this month, this calendar year. So I wouldn't be opposed to matching what we gave you last year.
I'd be grateful.
I'm just one person speaking. So anybody else has anything to say about that?
Yeah, I would echo what Bill says. I think we believe in you guys. We started 4 or 5 years ago, and we stepped up the last 3 years in a row. But the $15,000 last year was the largest gift we gave out of that fund, and this year it would be the largest gift. And we're down to $34,500 is what we've got left. We've already had a number of people. They start early now on their ass, so I think I would still feel good even with the $15,000 out of that $34,000 that we have remaining for our community funds to support your all's organization.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
And I would echo what both the mayor and Bill have said. You do wonderful work. Joe, who is not here tonight, he and I were on the initial Bethany Haven board when it started. And so we're very aware of the good things you do in the community, and you're to be commended.
I want to add too that NELCARE had our first one-stop resource center a couple weeks ago. And Cammie actually went out and picked up homeless people and brought them to the resource center so that they could see what was there and what we might have that would be available to help them. And I think every single one of them went to the community clinics table and found out what type of services they offer. So we really appreciate that, Cammie, Treasurer, and Bridget.
Mayor, if I may be in order, it seems like everybody's on board. I'd like to make a motion that we recommend we give the $15,000 donation to Bethany.
I'll second it, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Sheckler, we have a second by Councilman Williams. Is there any other discussion? This would be a motion to match the same amount we gave last year.
That's correct.
$15,000. Any other discussion? Seeing none, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, ladies, for
Thank
you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Jessica, you want to talk about the change order that we have?
Yes, Mayor. This is we finalizing and finishing up the Woodlawn Trunk Sewer Project, that extended gravity sewer up the Rowan Creek from where the big project ended several years ago and runs up and has eliminated the Woodlawn Springs pump station and the Rowan Creek pump station there at the Rowan condominiums. So this change order is a result of, at the wet well itself, it was difficult when you've got pumps and liquid levels in that well to get the actual elevation of the influent pipes coming in. And so the planned elevation was incorrect. So when they were in the field and went to install that manhole, they found that the pipe coming in was at an elevation different on the plans. So this was truly a change from what they had known, and this incurs the cost of adding an additional drop manhole section and then excavating back, because where the pump station is, it's in a low area, and the grades that lead the gravity line to that point are pretty severe. So in order to get that constructability, they had to lay back and relay and flatten out some of the line in order to get it to enter the manhole and have an appropriate watertight seal and meet the constructability of the system. So this finishes us out, and we had established unit pricing for this. So this is straight out what the unit pricing in the contract was for the 21.5 feet of 8-inch PVC and the vertical footage of the drop. So that comes together for a total of $5,592.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions of Jessica on this change order request?
Is work already done?
Yes, it's in service and online.
Schroeder Construction.
There's no other way to do it without having an environmental issue.
All right. I would then ask if we entertain a motion to approve the change order request for $5,592 on the Woodlawn Trunk Sewer Project.
So moved, Mayor.
Councilman Jones is in motion. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilwoman Hart. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Jessica.
you, Council.
All right, now for all the rest of the stuff tonight.
There's not too much though.
You got a lot to do, Audrey.
If I was late, I was getting ready.
If you mind, we got our HOAs, if you would mind reading the summary of the recommendations. Our city attorney.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. COA 2285 Duval Mason Lodge Number 6. Applicant owner requests to remove a mulberry and an elm tree at 222.5 North 3rd Street. Recommendation approval to remove both mulberry and elm tree with the following conditions. Conditions. The trees will be replaced with suitable smaller trees that will not outgrow their bounds. The type of trees to be planted back will be staff approved. COA 2286, Ben Burr, applicant owner, requests to remove a sugar maple tree at 411 North 3rd Street. Recommendation approval to remove the proposed sugar maple tree. COA 2288, Dan Sutherland, applicant owner, requests to install a walled patio at 310 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to install the proposed wall with the following conditions. Conditions. The wall must be approved by planning and zoning before being built. COA 221828, Freddie and Kay No, applicant's owners, request to install an addition at 418 North 3rd Street. Recommendation approval to install the proposed addition. COA 2274, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to add an angled roof to the front porch, the side porch, and the back porch that is a black metal roof at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to install the angled roof on the front side and back porch. COA 2276, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to add a wood deck to the side porch and to the back of the structure at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to install the wood deck at the back of the structure with the following conditions. Conditions. The side stoop will remain concrete and the back deck will be approved according to the second rendering with the vertical railings. COA 2277, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to replace the existing round metal columns on the front and the side porch to wood square columns at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation and approval to install the wood square columns on the front and side porch with the following conditions. Conditions. The staff will approve the final size of the porch columns between 4 and 6 inches. COA 2278, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to paint the exterior trim, gutters, windows, and deck columns antique white. The applicant also wishes to paint the shutters and doors escape gray at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to paint the trim, gutters, window, deck columns, shutters, and doors the proposed colors with the following conditions. Conditions. If the paint colors are to be changed, then those will be staff approved. COA 2279, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to add new 6-inch seamless gutters at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to install the 6-inch seamless gutters. COA 2280, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to remove vinyl siding on the front top of the house and replace it with Lowe's fiber cement shingle siding and painted iron ore. The applicant also wishes to paint the remaining vinyl around the house iron ore at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to install Lowe's fiber cement shingle siding to the front top of the house with the following conditions. Conditions. The siding cannot be painted black, but the final color can be staff approved for the front, back, and sides of the siding. COA 2281, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to replace the shutters at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to replace the shutters with wood louvered shutters. COA 2283, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to add new landscaping and remove a tree in the backyard at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval for the landscaping that was presented in the application and to remove the tree with the following conditions. Conditions. A tree will be planted back that will be staff approved. COA 2284, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to re-concrete the drive and sidewalks at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to re-concrete the existing driveway and sidewalks.
All right. Thank you, Audrey. I don't think we have any recusals this evening. We really only have 2 applications, but.
Didn't we skip COA 22-74, or was it tabled?
It's,
It was skipped in the reading, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't know if it was tabled.
I will read
wasn't
it.
crossed out here.
It was not. I just skipped it when I was reading. I'll read it now. Thank you, Councilwoman Hart. COA 2274, Will Hardy, applicant owner, requests to replace the current roof with a black onyx architectural shingle at 111 South 5th Street. Recommendation approval to install the black onyx architectural shingles on the roof. There were a couple above it that got tabled. I know I just skipped it.
I thought maybe that
sorry.
too.
good catch there, Betty.
I pay attention.
All right. But again, Mike, I don't think we have any recusals this evening. So if we don't, then I would ask for a motion then to approve all the COAs as read and presented by our city attorney with the conditions this evening.
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Have a motion by Councilman Hibbs. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Williams. Is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion is carried. All right. Next on our agenda is our minutes. We have a regular meeting on September 13th, and then we have the special meeting, which was the hearing on the tax rates prior to that meeting on the 13th. If there's no additions or corrections, we can approve them by unanimous consent. All right. Any reports from any staff or committee reports? I would just maybe call on Chief Spalding and Chief Cressy. Do you all have any significant activity you all want to talk about? Maybe the Windsor Garden incident you might talk about, Todd?
Yes, sir. So we did have an activated fire alarm at Windsor Gardens, assisted living. Crews were out on scene and didn't see any smoke showing, so they started to investigate. The initial alarm came in as a duct detector. So once they got up into the attic space, they did find smoke and some flame, and so they did put that out with a water extinguisher. They did evacuate some of the residents. They did cut a small hole up into the ceiling to pull out all the insulation to make sure there wasn't going to be any kind of rekindle. So they did a really good job of limiting damage and taking care of the occupants there. And we also had a large industrial machine come down on a fellow at Blend Pack, and took us about 10 minutes with some hydraulic equipment to get that off his legs. And he was transported by EMS to Lowell Hospital. Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I know I had a busy couple of days there.
Yes, sir.
Anything with you, Chief Cressy?
I'd just like to say that Detective Amanda Beard is working hard on the columbarium investigation. We have had some information coming in from the community, so if there is anybody out in the community that has any additional information, please get that to us. But she's working diligently on that case.
Thank you. Okay. We don't have any cemetery deeds. Any members of the council have anything to bring before the council this evening? All right. I don't have anything to update. We'll go into executive session. I got enough covering that. So, I need a motion to adjourn out of the regular meeting and go into our executive session.
So moved.
And motion, Bill? Motion by Councilman Shekels. Is there a second?
I'll second
Second by Councilwoman Hart. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We are adjourned out of a regular meeting, go into an executive session. Come out of the executive session, back in regular session, let the record.
Yeah, we got it. Okay.
Okay, we're back out of executive session, back into regular session. Let the record show that there was no official action taken during the executive session. There's nothing further for the discussion this evening as far as our agenda, and no other business. So with that, I ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Hibbs and a second by Councilman Shekels.
Yes, sir.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. We are adjourned.